Hey, 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 happy Friday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. It is the last day of January. It is Friday, January 31st, 2020. This is episode 434 of The Daily Dope. And of course, hanging out on a crazy, crazy Friday night. Do want to point out tonight's show is probably going to be a little bit quicker than usual because right after the show, I'm heading to the airport so I can hop a plane to fly over to London so I can try to take care of Brexit over the weekend, get it all wrapped up, and everything will be done, right? So, just kidding. Anyway, this is the first time you've popped in to join me. Just let me point out, this is a very casual show. I just talk about tabletop gaming for the most part. Every once in a while, we talk a little PC gaming, sometimes a little pop culture as well. And it's not rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. Just kind of hanging out, having some fun. This is a live stream on YouTube, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, but I do pay attention to chat. So if you'd like to say howdy, or maybe you've got a question or a comment, by all means, fire away. I will do my best to respond. Every once in a while, it's pretty crowded in chat, and chat kind of flies past pretty quickly. So I do apologize if I happen to miss out on any questions or anything that somebody throws my way. Of course, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, fight those trolls out there, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you do. Ring that little bell, because it will not only notify you when the Daily Dope goes live within about a minute or so, but also tell you when I upload my standalone videos, such as my unboxings and first looks and page throughs and reviews and interviews and convention coverage, you name it, it will let you know when I upload new videos. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And of course, tell a friend, tell two friends, help spread the word. Last I looked, I think we are 3 subscribers away from 2,100, which I know is not a lot. But hey, it's more than I've ever had, so there you go. Nothing wrong with that. So I see a Gray Day is hanging out in chat on a Friday night. Might end up being kind of quiet tonight. I do know that some of our regulars have Friday night gaming, which is like every other Friday. And I think this is the Friday that, say for an example, the Madman plays, I think it's Savage Worlds on Friday nights. So anyway, got a good amount of news popping today. Do want to mention, I did watch the second issue. English, Jeff. Let's speak English today. The second episode of Star Trek Picard. You know, and it's funny. There's some parts that it's weird. It's like, so the first 2 episodes, there's bits and pieces that I'm like, wow, I really like this. Ooh, I like that idea. Ooh, I like that. But then when it's all put together, I don't know. I think it's a pacing thing. The first 2 episodes, the pacing has just been off. I don't know. So anyway, a Gray Day says RPG night for a Gray Day later on. Very good, very cool. So playing basic fantasy. It's a cool system, cool free system, by the way. So a Gray Day's making nachos and kicking it, watching the Daily Dope here. So anyway, I don't know. If you don't have CBS All Access, by all means, check out the premiere episode of Picard. It is on YouTube, absolutely free. Check it out. See if you share my opinion. So, I mean, granted, you won't have seen the second episode, but yeah, the first episode, I don't know. I think it's a pacing issue. I think that's really what it all boils down to. Anyway, let's jump on into the news, because I've got a good bit of news tonight. Some interesting tidbits. First off, there's actually a pretty unique looking take on dungeon delving games. It is coming soon from Gamewright and Phase Shift Games. And I've got the dope on Dungeon Drop. Instant dungeon, infinite possibilities. Gather your gear and prepare to dive into the labyrinth. Teeming with untold treasure, the tunnels are said to be inhabited by unusual creatures, both adorable and terrible. Keep your wits about you as the very walls shift in the torchlight. It's time to drop into the dungeon. Dungeon Drop is a lightweight dungeon crawler for 1 to 4 players, featuring unique gameplay elements that assures no two games could possibly be the same. Dungeon Drop blends strategy with a novel spatial element that will challenge casual and hardcore gamers alike. At the start of each game, cubes of varying colors, representing both loot and monsters in the dungeon, are dropped onto the table from a height of 6 to 12 inches. This creates a dungeon layout with infinite possibilities. You will then use your customized hero to explore the dungeon, use your unique abilities, and ultimately loot a room that won't kill you. Dungeon Drop is for 1 to 4 players, ages 8 and up, plays in around 20 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $22 when it arrives sometime in the first quarter. Don't have an exact release date just yet, so either February or March, because that's the first quarter. This looks pretty interesting. I do have, I'm sharing the web address for Phase Shift Games, because even though this is supposed to be a Gamewright release, this I do believe this was a Kickstarter at some point. Gamewright's website isn't actually showing this game. But it is a Gamewright release, because even on the game box, it shows it's Gamewright. So looks kind of interesting. I would not mind checking this game out. And it's funny because Gamewright used to touch base with me all the time, saying, "Hey Jeff, would you like to review this game, review that game?" And Gamewright tends to be a pretty, I don't want to say, it's more for children. Not all their games, but their focus really is towards children's games. And to me, I always tell companies when they offer me, like, say, like party games or kids games, I always let them know it's really not my audience who comes to check out the show or watch the videos or goes to the website. You're really not going to get a whole lot of bang for your buck as far as those review copies. This, on the other hand, looks kind of cool. So, and of course, we're always talking about fantasy games as well. So, Ronald Griffith has arrived in chat. Good to see you, Ron. Thanks for joining A Gray Day and I tonight. Like I said, I got a feeling it might be kind of a quiet Friday night, but we will find out. Moving right along, coming from AEG in May is Santa Monica. And here's just a wee bit of dope. A new game from Josh Wood, designer of Cat Lady. In Santa Monica, you are developing a beachfront community in sunny Southern California. You'll need to attract tourists, provide interesting things for them to do, build up your boardwalk and your oceanfront attractions, and keep the locals happy. It's like you're going to be spinning a lot of plates. In Santa Monica, you're trying to create the most appealing neighborhood in Southern California. Will you choose to create a calm, quiet beach focusing on nature, a bustling beach full of tourists, or something in between to appeal to the locals? Each turn, you'll draft a feature card from the display to build up either your beach or your street. These features work together to score you victory points. The player with the most points wins. Santa Monica is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 45 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $39.99 when it releases on May 1st. Do want to mention, by special arrangement, Santa Monica will be available exclusively in brick-and-mortar retail stores hosting the Board Game Expo 2020 events, which take place on April 4th. So, AEG as well as Renegade Game Studios are both going to have some early releases if you go take part in Board Game Expo on April 4th. So kind of cool. This looks interesting. I like Walking in Burano. I thought that's a pretty cool game. I like the little kind of like gotta build your neighborhood sorts of games. Here's one thing that I do find kind of interesting though. So Santa Monica is for ages 14 and up, and it has like little meeples. There's almost like a little food truck meeple, a little foodie meeple. And I think there's some, like punch out, tokens, counters, what have you. And it's for 14 and up because of those items that can be swallowed. Whereas we were just talking about Dungeon Drop has all these cubes, but it says it's for ages 8 and up. I don't understand how some of these laws work because I don't get it. I don't understand. So it's like, are people more apt to be putting items from Santa Monica in their mouth and joking on it as opposed to Dungeon Drop? I don't know. All right, moving right along. Arriving in February is a new trading card game from a company I know nothing about, Legend Story Studios. And I've got the dope on Flesh and Blood. Welcome to Flesh and Blood, the new hero-centric fantasy trading card game designed for incredible constructed booster draft and sealed deck play. Flesh and Blood introduces a new game-changing innovation, their words, not mine, to the trading card game industry with the patent-pending Pitch resource system, which has players engaged in cutthroat combat every turn of every game 100% of the time. Equip your hero and prepare to fight. Flesh and Blood is a hero-centric combat game combining the immersive experience of a classic fantasy RPG with the creativity, strategy, and collectability of a master-crafted trading card game. Start the game by revealing and equipping your hero with the weapons and armor best matched for the challenge at hand. A successful hero will need a well-stocked inventory to draw upon, for the world of Wraith, I believe that's how it's pronounced, it's R-A-T-H-E, has much to be discovered, including specialization skills for each hero, legendary equipment for each class, and treasures so rare they're fabled to exist at all. The first wave of Flesh and Blood will feature Welcome to Wrath decks and boosters. The Welcome to Wrath hero decks provide cohesive gameplay straight out of the box, with high replayability. They're perfect for kitchen table gaming or as the foundation for building a tournament deck. Each deck contains a ready-to-play 60-card deck plus a hero, a weapon, an equipment, and a rules book. MSRP on that is $11.99. Also arriving are booster packs. Each pack contains 15 cards plus 1 token. The 15 cards are 1 premium foil, 1+1 rare or higher, so 1 rare plus 1 rare or super rare or majestic, 1 equipment, and 11 commons. MSRP may vary on the boosters. I'm going to guess they're probably going to go for about $3.99. At the end of March is another wave that comes out with Magic users, I do believe. So I believe there's going to be 4 new decks as well as more boosters. So I think to start off with, you've got 4 characters with this initial release, 4 more characters coming after that. And the decks you purchase are like pre-built. They're based on the hero that you're going to play. So, and I believe so are the boosters as well. Kind of interesting. It looks like the company that is behind this has really gone out of their way to make sure that that retailers have gotten kind of like previews of this. And not just here in the US, we're talking worldwide. Honestly, I do not believe that this company is located here in the US. For some strange reason, and I don't know for sure. I just pulling this out of my hat from what I've kind of seen about this game. I got a feeling this company's out of like New Zealand or something like that. But you gotta give some kudos to some of these companies out there who are trying to crack into that very, very niche trading card game industry out there, because it is not easy to be successful at that at all. So, I don't know. Could be an interesting game, or it could be complete garbage, like all the games that came out in the wake of Magic's first popularity, about a year after it came out at Gen Con. Everybody was playing Magic, and everybody and their mother had a Magic-like clone that they were selling. Almost all of them were horrible. Just horrible. All right, so next item is a role-playing game Kickstarter, which has really caught my eye. I've been kind of keeping an eye on this system because it looks really interesting. It's based on a fictional series that's out of Brazil. And Porcupine Publishing has launched a Kickstarter to bring the Elephant and Macabre Banner, which is a fictional series. They're looking to bring this to your tabletop with an English translation of the Brazilian role-playing game. I've got the dope. Welcome to a world of muskets and magic. The Elephant and Macabre Banner is an award-winning fiction series about the adventures of the Dutchman Gerard van Olst and Yoruba Oladara during their travels through a fantastic version of 16th century Brazil. These stories, steeped in Brazilian history and folklore, have been enjoyed by readers around the globe. And you can find out all about them at the Elephant and Macabre Banner website. Now it's time to immerse yourself in this Brazilian fantasy full of adventure, magic, and monsters, where you'll find endless opportunity to create new stories. It is with great pride that we present the Elephant and Macabre Banner role-playing game. Create your own heroes and have your own adventures in this magical world. The Elephant and Macabre Banner core rulebook is a 224-page full-color 11 by 8.5 softcover. It'll be printed in the United States by Bang Printing of Minnesota. There are no character attributes in EAMB, only skills, which you can develop to 3 levels: Apprentice, Practitioner, and Master. They range from general skills like horse riding or swimming to more specialized training in things like navigation, music, weapons, academia, and languages. You gain learning points over the course of your adventures so that you can spend them on improving any skill. When a player wants to use their character's skill to resolve a challenge or risky situation, the outcome is not certain and something serious is on the line, then that's called a feat. You attempt a feat by rolling 3 6-sided dice, adding a bonus for your skill level and sometimes equipment, and seeing if it meets the target number. Typically a 12 for an easy feat. There is a quick Kickstarter video. It's a little less than 2 minutes. It's going to show you some of the artwork. It's going to show you off some of the cool stuff with the Elephant and Macabre Banner. It's just music, though, I do believe. So let's kick back and give it a watch. The Kickstarter for the Elephant and Macabre banner role-playing game just launched. I believe it may have even just started today. You can reserve a copy of the PDF for a $20 pledge, or score the physical book and PDF for a $36 pledge. Although, I gotta point out, it's showing that there's only going to be 750 softcover books produced. Interesting. So if you want a copy of it, you best act fast. This Kickstarter is going to run through February 29th. I believe it was about 20% funding when I took a peek at it earlier today. Like I said, I think this just launched today. Expected delivery of the PDF is this May, and the softcover book will follow in June. Reason why I've kind of kept an eye on this is that they've had a free player's guide available at Drive-Thru RPG for quite some time. And I gotta say, this artwork looks really, really good. Really, really nice. I have heard good things about the fiction series. I guess some people say it's kind of like the Brazilian Witcher. Although, to be honest, I think it's a little more family-friendly than The Witcher is. I don't know. I'm not positive. But Tom McGrenery, I think is how the name is pronounced, is actually doing the translation. So I'm kind of curious about a few things. First off, I'm not curious about this, but Tom is actually one of the hosts of Fear of a Black Dragon, which is one of the Gauntlet podcasts, which I actually listen to quite often, because what it basically is, it's talking about kind of like old school Renaissance style adventures, and just talking about the adventures and adapting it for whatever you happen to play. I know the Gauntlet is more powered by the apocalypse kind of stuff, but this show isn't necessarily like that. And Tom always has really nice things to say about the old Warhammer Fantasy roleplay adventures, so it's kind of cool. So my understanding is Tom is the person who's doing the translation of this, because this game is already out. It is a Brazilian role-playing game, so it's not available in English. What I'm curious about is, I had heard, I don't know if Tom talked about this on a podcast somewhere or someone else mentioned this, that I heard someplace or read someplace, but as far as I understand, the language of the role-playing game that's available now is kind of dry. It's kind of mechanical, I guess we would say. It kind of, it's almost, think about, if you go back, I know we talk about OSR stuff all the time. If you go back and you look at like first edition Dungeons and Dragons, it's real dry. The presentation's very dry, right? I'm curious if this translation is going to be kind of a verbatim translation, or if there's some wiggle room as far as how the presentation is going to be, because Americans tend to look at different things in role-playing games as opposed to like Europeans. Like, for an example, the Dark Eye is super popular in Europe for Ulysses Spiel. Here in the US, not so much, because the books are not written the way we tend to expect our role-playing games. So I'm just kind of curious. But this does look really, really interesting. Very unique setting as well. And I mean, $20 for the PDF. I mean, how can you go wrong with that, right? Plus, I mean, really, $36 for the softcover and PDF. That's a really, really nice deal. And this does strike me as being not necessarily rules light, but not very crunchy. Especially seeing that there's no attributes, it's all skills, and you're rolling dice against a challenge number, effectively. So it could be pretty cool. Could be pretty cool. So Nefarious Coel is here in chat. Do you want to mention? Good to see Nefarious hanging around. There's a bit of discussion of what people are playing tonight. Like I said, a Grade A is going to play some basic fantasy, which, yes, they're saying it's dirt cheap. Yeah, free is dirt cheap. And I think you can get the core book softcover for like $5. I think it's like the cost of printing is what you can get it for. So yeah, very cool. All right. So Nefarious says, Dark Eye is cool, but damn, it is bloated in some areas. Yeah, that whole rolling 20-sided dice thing kind of, yeah. I mean, the Dark Eye is cool. I mean, I've actually got some of the releases from Ulysses Spiel. It's just, yeah, that 320-sider kind of like, most people kind of look at that like, what? Whereas, of course, over in Europe, especially Germany, it's kind of like, what? We roll 320-sided dice for everything. What's the big deal? So, anyway, A Great A has the Dark Eye card game. Yes, the Aventuria card game. Very cool. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting game as well. Anyway, the other thing I was going to point out is if you have any, thoughts about checking out the Elephant and Macabre, banner. Jeez, why don't I belch right there? What? And if you're interested in checking that out, by all means, swing over to Drive-Thru RPG. They've got a player's guide PDF, absolutely free, and I believe it has the first couple of parts of the core rulebook. It's not the entire book, but there we go. Hang on one sec. I see we've got somebody popping in here. Some oddball. So anyway, yeah. It's like rest in peace, Kobe. Hey, aren't we a little late on that? Anyway, so and that has nothing to do with what we were talking about. So Nefarious says regarding Dark Eye, I'm always of the opinion that smaller skill lists are better. Don't need basket weaving and such. What? The critical basket weaving skill? I don't know. All right, so my final news piece is from Columbia Games because they have a revamped edition of the hard science fiction RPG High Colonies up for crowdfunding. Here's the dope. From the creators of Harnworld, High Colonies hard science fiction role-playing. The Earth is no more. Ravaged by nuclear and biological warfare, Earth is now a barren wasteland. Remnants of humanity are scattered on space stations throughout the solar system. Once the brightest achievements of progress, now the High Colonies are the last hope for humanity. From the creators of the Harnworld fantasy RPG comes a realistic role-playing game of hard science fiction. High Colonies places an emphasis on science and accuracy in this setting about the future of the human race. There is a short Kickstarter video. I will pop that on. It's a little more than a minute, and we will jump on in, take a peek.
Ravaged by nuclear and biological warfare, the Earth is no more. Remnants of humanity are scattered on space stations throughout the solar system. Once the brightest achievements of progress, now the High Colonies are the last hope for humanity. From the creators of Harnworld comes the realistic role-playing game of hard science fiction. Set just over 2 centuries in the future, man has learned to exploit the resources of the solar system and reap the benefits from biological and engineering technologies. However, human population is reduced to about 20 million, about the same as one large city on old Earth. Now is the time to influence humanity's new path in the stars. Suit up and venture out into the High Colonies.
The High Colonies role-playing game Kickstarter is actually over 300% funded. You can reserve a copy in PDF for a $29 pledge through February 23rd. Expected delivery is actually going to be this July. You can back it for $1 to get a sneak peek. There are some other pledge levels that include some adventures as well, but the core book in PDF can be had for a $29 pledge. So A Great A had mentioned, doesn't Traveler pretty much have the hard science fiction Avenue all locked up. Have that market pretty much, taking care of that market. Not necessarily. Got to point out, as far as I understand, and I might be wrong, but I could have swore High Colonies has been around for a while. I think it's been around since like the late 80s. I don't believe it was originally written by the Harn team. So I think, now this is just, I don't know. I'm just rolling this out here. If Tom Dalgleish happens to catch this video and wants to comment in the comments, that's fine. I do believe that Columbia published it back in the 80s, and now, since they still hold the rights to it, I think Tom and I think some other authors have kind of gotten on board to revamp the game. I am not positive, but I think that's the case. So Nefarious is talking about that they think it's based on Harn Master mechanics. I believe so too. Harn is one of those games that it's got loads and loads of setting info, as Nefarious is pointing out. It is a pretty realistic role-playing game. It is not high fantasy by any stretch of the imagination. And there is loads and loads of detail to Harn that it's like, wow. It's just, it's one of these games where Harn doesn't appeal to like the 5e people out there. 5e gamers, I don't see like wanting to play Harn. People who are more into like RuneQuest, they gravitate towards Harn. So those out there who probably are looking for maybe a different kind of setting than, say, Traveler, and God, what flavor Traveler are we talking about? Are we talking about Mongoose Traveler? Are we talking Mark Miller Traveler? It's like there's all different Traveler. That's a bizarre story. I don't even know all the facts with that. Sort of like, oh, here's a Mongoose Traveler. Oh, and Mark Miller's Traveler? Like, still Traveler, right? No, I know it's not. I know it is not. Anyway, all right. So Nefarious says from what they saw on the Kickstarter page, it is related to Harn Master. Good deal. Cool deal. Is the Harn Master the one like AD&D on steroids, or is it the one with more detailed combat injuries? Well, the thing is, I have not actually read Harn Master, which I believe are like the core rules. I have checked out Harn World, which is kind of the setting. Columbia, and this is just me. Columbia produces everything like for Harn, where it's supposed to go into a 3-ring binder. And if you don't have a 3-ring binder, it's a little tough to read this stuff. You don't have a 3-ring binder handy. But I don't think Harn. Oh, you know what, Nefarious? You might be thinking of Arms Law, Spell Law, Claw Law. It was Roll Master from ICE. That may be the one that you're thinking of, as far as being like really detailed combat injuries and stuff like that. Which, funny enough, we all picked that up for D&D way back in the day. Even though I really wasn't running D&D, I don't know why I bought it. But I had that. I had the old Middle-earth role-playing game that they did as well, which it thankfully was not as detailed as Rollmaster was. But I remember my friend Scott Weigel, who now lives out, he lives out by Portland. He was running like D&D with I think it was Arms Law and Spell Law. And it was just a mess. Not his fault. It was, you were rolling on one table and then another table, and then you're adding bonuses and you're rolling another. It was like, oh, for crying out loud. All right, so nope. So Nefarious says no, it wasn't Rollmaster. Had that one. I don't know. Gosh, there's only been a handful of role-playing games over the years. It's okay. Anyway, so that is it for tonight's show. As I mentioned, tonight was going to probably be a little quicker than usual. So Gray Day says they're still trying to release a new edition of Rollmaster. That company has contacted me a few times, and they've sent me PDFs of some of their stuff, and I haven't asked for it. They're just like, oh, hey, we want, could you maybe take a look at this? And they use that really shitty, like 3D graphics program that's luckily we don't see that too much with the Kickstarter board games anymore, but there was a point in time for a couple years that these like fly-by-night Kickstarters would all have that really shitty 3D graphics that it was like, ugh. So anyway, a Great Ace said they found out that Fantasy Games Unlimited is still around. Wow. That's amazing. They're still around? I know some of the games are still available in PDF through Drive-Thru RPG, but I didn't realize that the company itself was actually still around. I'm sure they're not producing anything, but that's pretty wild. That's pretty interesting. So anyway, all right. As far as the rest of the news, there was another news story. I actually tweeted that I was going to include a news story by a company. And then I learned that this company is actually the same authors behind one of my least favorite products I've ever reviewed. So I was like, ooh, wait a second. No, I'm not doing news on that. So I'm not going to say what it is. I'm not even going to say the company. But if you were like on Twitter and saw that I had tweeted this, I had tagged this company, and you notice I'm not doing news for it, I apologize. I did not realize that it was the people that made this game that I just savaged in my review. Anyway, all right. So a Great A says you can still order stuff from FGU on their website. Huh. Well, I mean, it could be like, like Flying Buffalo was with Rick Loomis. Rick had a lot of stuff in his garage. I mean, that was his warehouse, was his garage. So, might be something along those lines, too. All right. Anyway, that is it for tonight's show. As I like to point out, if you like the stream, please give the video a thumbs up. Fight those trolls out there. And, of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. You know the drill. Get your geek on at gaminggang.com. Of course, subscribe to the channel. If you do, don't forget, ring that little bell, because it will not only notify you when this show goes live, but also tell you when I upload standalone videos as well. Of course, be sure to tell a couple of friends. Like I said, we're only, I believe, like 3 subscribers away from 2,100. Yoo-hoo! Those of you who hung out watching live, and Nefarious Coel, A Great Day, and Ron Griffith, thank you very much for popping in, keeping me company in chat as well. Those of you who watch after the fact on Memorex, thank you very much also. So everybody enjoy your weekends. Have a very safe weekend. Of course, I will see you next month. Haha. Saw that coming a mile away, right? And of course, until then, happy trails. Oh, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. And of course, if you want to catch up on past episodes of The Daily Dope, check out this playlist. And if you'd like to see what YouTube's recommending you take a peek at from the channel, just give a click right over here. Of course, I'm Jeff McAleer, and once again, thank you very much for watching.